Hi, my name is Oscar Perez, and in part 4 of Project Creative, we were examining several different things about the artist Salvador Dali and the St. Pete and Tampa Bay area. And I truly learned a lot about St. Pete, Tampa Bay, and Salvador Dali, and how the people in this area and that artist specifically use creativity and innovation to solve problems and to make new things, whether that's art or businesses and opportunities in this area. And it was definitely very inspiring. One of the things that I was able to connect from Salvador Dali's work to creativity was his use of changing the way that we normally see things, like the way that we would normally expect something to look, the way that what people expected of painters in that day, and creating a new surreal environment for us to just imagine ourselves in. Two of my favorite paintings that he has, that he made, are incredibly different. The persistence of memory it shows like a bunch of distorted and like almost melted looking clocks is one of my favorite pieces, probably my favorite. And I think the way that he shows us things in a different way, and even just the name, the persistence of memory, being shown through distorted and messed up clocks that look like they're melted everywhere, I think it is incredibly beautiful. And unfortunately, art is something that I really struggle with understanding. I often find myself reading the little subtext that tells me exactly what that piece means. But somehow, when it comes to Salvador Dali, I'm extremely impressed that I'm not able to understand or figure out immediately what the message that he's trying to say. And I also understand that a lot of people are, and that might just be me struggling with that specifically. So I definitely think that, he uses the creativity and innovation to create pieces that challenge the general mindset that people have, or the general feeling of, I can just look at something and understand exactly what it is. When it comes to entrepreneurship and innovation, creativity is a massive part of that, because it's very important to be intentional about all of those things. It happens very rarely that someone accidentally becomes an entrepreneur, or someone accidentally innovates. People accidentally invent all the time, but innovation is a lot more intentional, and so is creativity. And I think a lot of people think of creativity as just something that some people are born with, and something that only a few people, like members of the population, have. But creativity has to be trained, and it has to be fostered, and it has to be intentional. And I think that taking this class, it's easier to understand the connections between someone being intentional about expanding their capacity to create, and how that helps them when it comes to problem solving, which I honestly see as one of the most basic definitions of innovation. And an entrepreneur needs to be able to problem solve in order to succeed. That's just the most important part of owning your own business and running something yourself. And when it comes to understanding that St. Pete has had a profound influence on the world, it makes me think about like the different other organizations that still exist in St. Pete that I maybe haven't thought about how it's impacting me, and how it's impacting the environment, and how it's impacting St. Pete. And I think about how I came to Tampa and to this school to learn about business and about business management specifically when I first got here, and learning about how the impact that St. Pete and Tampa have had in the world, it makes me inspired, and it makes me wonder what differences I can make being part of this like very important area, and what I could create that would one day be part of a classroom lesson like this. And it makes me very excited and very optimistic about being and studying in the Tampa area. Some of the other organizations that I think use innovation in Tampa and St. Pete today, some of the basic, almost obvious examples would be the zoo. I think that the Tampa Zoo, or more exactly the Tampa Aquarium, which I've been to more often, are incredible examples of using creativity and innovation to get what they need. They make an experience that's catered to people who are curious, who would like to learn more about animals, and who would like to see animals up close. If you've ever been to the aquarium, it feels almost dangerous how close you can get to animals and how open their cages are. In reality, an adult could probably like stick their hand in the same ponds that these fish are in. It's very interesting the way that they designed their aquarium to feel like it's that much closer to you, and all of that with the intent of getting more funding to create more change in the Tampa Bay area for the animals that they love. Another example would be the Visit Tampa Bay organization. I recently heard from someone who worked at this organization who I had the pleasure of meeting, and they explained to me how it creates a one-stop like user experience where in one place they're able to meet all the needs of a tourist or somebody else from Florida who just wants to come to Tampa Bay to have a good time. They created a place where all the resources and all the links are in one spot, and convenience is probably one of the greatest sellers for a product, and they specialize in that. And I thought it was a really creative way to make St. Pete and Tampa a destination.